Listen, let me ask you a question. What if the only thing standing between you and success was the way that you think? The only thing standing between you and success was the way that you think. Let me ask you a question. Would you think differently? If the only thing standing between you and success is the way that you think, would you think differently? And so I want to have a conversation today on and around how to have a success, how to think success thoughts, how to have a success mindset. And from my experience, I've been doing this a long time. There are three things that connect to having a success mindset. Number one is you have to embrace the idea of growth over comfort. The second tip I'm going to share with you today, and that is how to develop relentless discipline. How to develop relentless discipline. And then the third thing is you always have to be solution oriented. So, quick story about me. A number of years ago, I'm working in a manufacturing environment, and it's a 4-year apprenticeship training program. It means 8,000 hours I had to go through. I took classes on algebra. I took classes on geometric tolerancing. I took classes on physics. I had Department of Defense clearance and Department Energy clearance because most of the work that we were working on at the time, we were making nuclear components for attack submarines and Navy ships. And so I'm 2 years in to this apprenticeship program to become a certified numerical controller or a CNC machinist. And 2 years into this program, I'm feeling very good and young. I'm in my early 20s. I'm doing well as I thought. And so 2 years in, the boss calls me into the office, and I'm thinking, oh man, this is great. He's going to tell me, Rich, I don't know what I would have done without you. He calls me into his office and sits me down, and he starts going through my evaluation. And then he gets to a point in the evaluation when he says, Rich, you seem to be the most incompetent person that I ever met in my life. Oh, did you feel that? Here I am expecting to get promoted. And he says to me, Rich, you seem to be the most incompetent person that I ever met in my life. And friend, I want to tell you, I wasn't feeling too success minded at that time. I was devastated. You have to understand, prior to that, I was good at everything that I did. I played basketball. I was in the top percentile on my team. I got a scholarship to go play college basketball. I always did well. And so for the first time, I'm hearing this news, and the supervisor says, Rich, you seem to be the most incompetent person I ever met. It was devastating to me. I went home, and I'm not ashamed to tell you this, man. I'm a grown man, but I sat on the basement steps of my home and I cried for about an hour and a half. I mean, I cried so much that my tear ducts dried up. I don't know how that was possible, but it was. But here's the point. It was during that moment that I resolved on how I was going to talk about my life. It was during that moment that I came to the resolution that information is the difference between success and failure, and never ever again would anyone say that Rich is incompetent. And so that led me on the journey and on the path of thinking success. So, friend, understand this. If you're going to embrace success, and if thinking is the only barrier that's keeping you from achieving some level of success. Now, today is not about success in finances, although you can apply to that. Today is not success in your relationship, although you can apply to that. Today is not success as it relates to your career, although you could apply to that. Today is simply success in the way that you think. Because understand this, friend, the way that you think will determine how you feel. And the way that you feel will determine how you act. And the way that you act is going to be a prophecy to the way that you perform long term. I personally believe that practice is a prophecy for performance. I believe that practice is a prophecy to the way that we perform in life, the way that we practice, the way that we hit the weights, the way that we go to the gym, the way that we shoot shots when no one else is shooting shots, the way that we carve our diet, we eat certain foods that's going to propel energy. That those are practice. The way that we have conversation with our wives at home, the way that we interact with our children, the way that we respect and honor our bosses, all of those, friends, to me, are opportunities to practice a behavior that will eventually be a prophecy to the way that I perform in life. But you have to start by embracing a growth mindset over comfort. I didn't say success was going to be easy. What I did say is it's possible, but you have to be willing to be uncomfortable. What does that mean? I'm going to have to get up a little early. One of the things I determine is because there's certain things that I want to accomplish in my day, and getting up at 6 a.m. wasn't enough time. And so I started the habit of getting up at 5:15 in the morning. That allows me to exercise, it allows me to read, it allows me to meditate, it allows me to pray, it allows me to sit down and have a conversation over breakfast with my wife and then leave out for the office. But you have to be willing to be uncomfortable so that you can enjoy higher levels of comfort. Now, I know that sounds counterproductive. It contradicts one another. But I have to be willing to be uncomfortable first. I got to enforce myself to think different thoughts. Listen, mental health experts have shared that we think, on average, on a daily basis, anywhere between 50 to 70,000 thoughts. Think about that. 50 to 70,000 thoughts a day. Then watch this. This will caught my attention. 90% of those thoughts are automatic. So if it's 50,000 thoughts that we think a day, 90% of them are automatic. That means somewhere around 45,000 of the 50,000 thoughts are automatic. That leaves me with about 5,000 thoughts that I can control. Now, understand this, friend. Every thought that hit your mind is not necessarily for you to take. Let's just pause on that. Every thought that hits your mind isn't necessarily a thought for you to take. Jesus said in the Bible, he said, take no thought saying, take no thought saying, take no thought saying. He went on to say in Luke, I believe it's Luke chapter 8, verse 18, he said, take heed how you hear. Notice he didn't say take heed how, what you hear, or when you hear, or where you hear. He said, take heed how you hear. And so some of those thoughts, friend, that's hitting your mind isn't necessarily for you. Here's a thought that may hit your mind. Who are you to think that you deserve this level of success? See, that's a thought that's not for you. Who are you to think that you deserve a six-figure lifestyle? See, that's a thought that's not for you. Who are you to think that you're going to have a lasting, loving, thriving marriage? Who are you when you know what your history is like? See, friend, that's a thought that's not for you to take. So if I'm going to have success and see some level of success in my life, whether it's finances, whether it's family, whether it's in the marketplace, I have to embrace the idea that first, growth over comfort. The second thing about having a success mindset, friend, is we have to develop relentless discipline. Discipline, discipline, discipline. I said earlier that the way that you practice is a prophecy to the way that you're going to perform in the marketplace. It's a prophecy to the way that you're going to perform in your marriage. It's a prophecy to the way that you're going to perform with your children. So let's embrace the idea that I have to develop relentless discipline. Relentless discipline. Discipline is not an emotional decision. Discipline is not an emotional decision. Discipline is a decision that's tied to a why that's so powerful that when I'm sleepy, I got less than 5 hours of sleep. Discipline pulls me up out of the bed. That why is so strong. It pulls me up out of the bed and said, these are the things that you set out to do, and you're going to do them. So you have to develop a relentless discipline. Where does this relentless discipline start? How do I build relentless discipline? You build relentless discipline one small act at a time. How do you build relentless discipline? One small act at a time. Listen, do me a favor. Drop this in the comment section. One small act at a time. See, listen, this time of the year, research shows that gyms and health fitness centers, they make about 60 or 70%, some cases more, of their revenue for the year because people have these New Year's resolution. The problem with the New Year resolution is somewhere around February into the beginning of March, probably, I'm guessing, I can get the research, but 60% of those people fall off. One act at a time. If you're going to build relentless discipline, as opposed to saying, I'm going to lose 25 pounds over the next 90 days. Why don't you try this? I'm going to practice eating smaller meals first. Now, the end goal is 25 pounds in 90 days, right? And if you average that out, you take 25 pounds, and you divide it by 7, you're talking about you're losing somewhere in the neighborhood of 7 point something pounds a month. So how do I get to losing 25 pounds in 90 days? One small act at a time. Friend, you build discipline with that one small act at a time. And what will happen is you can start stacking habits on top of that one small act at a time. Make sense? Great. The third tip I want to leave with you, friend, is this: you have to be solution oriented. It's not who's wrong, but what's wrong and how do we fix it. Sometimes I have an opportunity to meet with guys one on one and do a little bit of life coaching and talk about relationships and things like that. And you don't understand Rich. She shouldn't have talked to me that way. You don't understand Rich. She does this. You don't understand Rich. She does this. She does that. She does this. And it's a whole list of things that she does. My question to you, friend, is what's the solution to what she's doing? Did you have a conversation with her about the solution? Did you have a conversation with your team? Yeah, you're pointing out problems in the performance of your team. Listen, team, you're not hitting the key performance indicators on a monthly basis, and this is happening, and we're down 5% over last year. This whatever. You're talking about the problem. Why not create a dialogue around solutions? It's not who's wrong, but it's what's wrong, and it's inclusive now. How do we fix it? So, friend, if you're going to have a success mindset, number first, what I said, you have to embrace growth over comfort. You have to be willing to do the uncomfortable thing first. The second thing that I said is you have to develop relentless discipline. And how do you build relentless discipline? One small act at a time. The third thing I said was that you have to be solution oriented. It's not what's wrong. I mean, it's not who's wrong, but what's wrong and how do we fix it? Write the problem down on a piece of paper. These are the problems. And then take 5 minutes, take 10 minutes, take 15 minutes, and start daydreaming about solutions. If it's you're working with your team, get your team together and start daydreaming, start brainstorming about solutions. Stop focusing in on problems and start focusing in on solution, because this is the fundamental truth, and that is whatever we focus on, it will expand in your life. Hey, friend, listen, do me a favor. If you found value in this video today, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and then hit that bell, that notification, so that when we put videos, we make sure that you get it. Here at Motivate Podcast Show, we always say less, but we definitely want to believe for more. Let's get it.